Okay, so let's pick up where we left off in the first video. If we take a look here, you should have had something for your answer that looks like this. Bacteria are living things that need space and food, so C. difficile need space and food. If there is not space and food in the gut microbiome, then the C. difficile will die. So you need to make sure you have something typed in there and submit that in Google Classroom. And then we're going to go on to the second part of looking at how to create an argument. So if you might want to stop the video and make sure you submit that other document. And then I want you to go to classwork, and I want you to find this second document, the Subclaim 1 press release. And we're going to take a look at this press release and what we're doing. So I'm modeling this for you so you have a good example of how to do your argument, which we will start tomorrow. So again, here's our claim. A fecal transplant can work to cure a patient infected with a very harmful bacteria, such as C. difficile, in many different ways. And we're still working with the same subclaim about the space in the gut. So in order to get a 3 on my press release, so what we're doing is we're writing a press release that supports our Subclaim 1. We have to have evidence, and we have to explain how the evidence supports the subclaim. So what I want us to do is I want us to look at this rubric before we see this example of this subclaim argument. To get a 3, if we use both the original question in the answer and the stated specific subclaim, then you will have a 3 for that category. In our argument, we also need to have 2 different sources of evidence. And typically we've been looking at experiments, we've been looking at the case study, we've been looking at articles. So you should have plenty of places to get that evidence. If you have, it says the proposed answer to the question is clearly stated in a conclusion and says whether it supports the subclaim. So you would have to have both of those to get a 3. So if we look at this example that is written, this shows you an example of a 3. This is a well-written press release. It includes evidence to support our subclaim. That we use the reasoning tool, and this information came right out of that reasoning tool. So what we're going to do is we're going to read this press release, and then I want you to follow the directions at the end here. I want you to follow the directions. These questions go back and they find the information that is listed in the rubric so that we can see that all of that information to get a 3 is included in this press release. So I'm going to have you go ahead, read the press release to yourself, and go ahead and then follow the directions, whatever it says to do on these last questions, and then submit this in Google Classroom, and we will talk about this as well tomorrow before we begin our final argument, where you get to pick, or actually where you get to write a subclaim on the last 2 subclaims. We'll split that up, and half of us will do one of the subclaims, and half of us will do the other. Okay, so go ahead and use the rest of your time to finish reading this and do the activities that it says to do down here. And submit it in Google Classroom.